Welcome to Twist and Knots. Today we will learn how to choose the yarn for our project. Yarn can be broadly classified into three types. They are natural fiber, synthetic fiber and a blended yarn. On natural fiber we have two types. They are plant based and another one is an animal based. On plant based we have wool, cotton, bamboo and linen. On animal based we have silk and alpaca. Next one is the synthetic fiber. They are acrylic, polyester and nylon. Next is the blended yarn. Blended yarn is nothing but the combination of both the natural fiber and the synthetic fiber. For example, wool and acrylic can be combined together to form a blended yarn. Among this fiber, acrylic yarn is most widely used because of their durability. They are most preferred one and they are little cheaper can compare to the other type of yarn. When you start to learn about the crochet, you would come across the word yarn play. What's mean by yarn play? Yarn play is nothing but how many strands of yarn are connected together to form a single yarn. In the picture you could see the first one has only one strand, then we call it as a one play yarn, and the second you could see there are two strands that we call as a two play yarn, and the next picture you could see three strands that we call as a three play yarn, and the next picture you could see there are four strands that yarn we call as four play yarn, and the next picture you could see there are five strands of yarn that we call as a five play yarn. Do we think all the two play yarn are the same? No, absolutely no. Because you could see in the picture, the two yarn are two play. But the picture above is more bigger than the picture below. Because the thickness of the yarn strands vary for each yarn. You could see in the picture, there are three yarn. All the three yarn are four play yarn. But the yarn are not the same because the blue yarn at the end is very thinner than the other yarn. So we cannot differentiate the yarn based on their place. Then how we can differentiate the yarn? We can differentiate the yarn based on their thickness. See, now let's see how the yarn can be broadly classified into 8 types based on their thickness, ranging from 0 to 7. Yarn thickness can also be called as a yarn weight. The first yarn is you're going to see is the weight 0 yarn. This is the weight 0 yarn. This is a very thin yarn. This is used for making a delicate project. This yarn is also called as a lace yarn or a superfine yarn. And the next one is the weight 1 yarn. This yarn is also called as a fingering or a sock yarn. And the next one is weight 2 yarn. This we call as a sport yarn or a fine yarn. The size weight 1 yarn can be used for making a delicate projects. And the size 3, that is a weight 3 yarn. This is also called as a DK yarn or a light worsted yarn. DK is nothing but the double knitted yarn. And the next one is the weight 4 yarn. This we call it as the worsted yarn or aran yarn. And next one is the weight 4 yarn, which is called as a bulky yarn or sometimes called as a chunky yarn. And the next one is the weight 6 yarn. This we also called as a super bulky yarn or a super chunky yarn. And next is the weight 7 yarn. This is also called as a jumbo yarn. Based on the thickness of the yarn, each yarn is used in making different projects. The first one is the zero weight yarn or a lace yarn. Since this is very thin, this is mostly used for making a delicate projects like a baby garments, shawls and scarves. And the next one is the superfine yarn. This is also thin like a lace yarn. So this is also mostly used for making a baby garments and lightweight sweaters. Since it is very thin, it is mostly used in making a giving details for the amigurumi characters like a tiny eyes facial expressions can be easily given by using a this super fine yarn. And the next one is a fine yarn. This is for using this is used for making socks, hats and scarves, sweaters and even blankets. Even blankets can be made using a lace yarn and the super fine yarn, but since this is very thin, it will take a more time to complete our projects. Next is the lightweight yarn and the medium yarn. Lightweight yarn is nothing but the weight 3 yarn and the medium yarn is the weight 4 yarn. This yarn is most commonly used one. Almost for all the crochet projects, they will be using the lightweight yarn or a medium yarn, and it is highly recommended for beginners because it can be easy to handle. And the next is the bulky yarn. This yarn is used for making a super cozy sweater, hats, scarves and chunky blankets. Because of the thickness, the very large project can be finished very quickly. And the next one is the super bulky yarn. This is also used for making a cuddly toys like a teddy bear and baby toys can be easily made by using this super bulky yarn. Chunky pillow and amigurumi projects can be easily made by using this super bulky yarn. Next one is the jumbo yarn. This is used for making a Jane blankets, puffs and other projects which require more thickness and projects which has to be finished very quickly. Very large projects which is need to be finished very quickly can be done by using the jumbo yarn. Choosing the yarn, we need to choose our yarn needle. There are different types of yarn needle like plastic, aluminum and wood. I would recommend you to go with the aluminum. It will be very user friendly and it will be easy to handle for the beginners. And the numbering, there are two types of numbering. One is the alphabetic numbering, another one is the numerical numbering. Can you see on the first needle there is both alphabets and the number is printed. On the second needle, on the second picture, you can see only the number is printed. If the alphabet, each alphabet will represent a number. That is, if it is B is printed on your needle, then it is the size is about 2.25 mm. If C is printed on your needle, then the size is 2.75 mm. All the things you don't want to buy heart, just showing this for your reference. On the yarn, we can choose our yarn needle. Yarn thickness, this is the yarn needle. Here, if you are going to use size 0 yarn, then the recommended yarn needle will be 1.40 mm to 2.25 mm. If you are going to use the size 5 yarn, then your recommended needle will be 5.5 to 9 mm. Images on the slide. On the first image, you could see there is a little gap in between the chains. It's because I have used a needle bigger than the recommended one. On the second image, there is no gap in between the chain. It's because I have used the hook smaller than the recommended one. Therefore, if you decided to make any project, it is important to choose the yarn needle also. It is how you choose yarn thickness, like that you should also choose the yarn needle. In this image, the first image will have a small gaps in the middle. It's because we have used the hook which is which is bigger than the recommended one, and the second one is the will have very less gap because we have used the hook smaller than the recommended one. All the specification will be printed on your yarn label. You can see what is the recommended size of the hook and what is the size of the yarn and what type of yarn. It is a synthetic yarn or acrylic on, everything will be printed on your yarn label. You could find it all the details about the yarn here. If you are going to make a long project which require more yarn, that time just keep the stickers safe so that you could easily buy next time. You won't mismatch with any other yarn. You could see there are the four different type of yarn. The first yarn also has a 7 chain, and the next yarn also have a 7 chain. This also have a 7 chain, and this also have a 7 chain. But the last image is very taller than the other. It's because this is yarn is more thicker than the other yarn. With the image, you could see how the thickness make our project different. Tips. Yeah, it is not always necessary to follow the hook size. You can do whatever hook you want with the yarn, whatever yarn you need. You can always try so that you can get some new experience, and choose the yarn based on your project. If you are going to make a longer project, then if you take a bigger size, it can be finished very quickly. And if you are going to make an amicuri project, then I think size 3 and 4 will be a better one. If you are beginners, you must go with the mild color and single color fabric, so single color yarn, because it can be easily help you to identify the how many chains you have used and what chain, in which chain you have to insert your needle. If it is dark or multicolor, then you would get confused. And beginners, you can always go with the recommended hook size, because at the beginning, if your project is not nice, then you won't continue. So if you have to continue a project, at the beginning just follow the hook size. After you got more experience, you can just try changing the recommended hook size. Thank you.